Welcome to the CHYE in partnership with COL Live K-Factor podcast with your host, Rabbi Yehoshua Wordy, director of CHYE. Each week we bring you interviews with amazing Jewish entrepreneurs sharing their challenges and successes. Their stories will inspire you to make the Keli to take your business aspirations to the next level. Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the K-Factor podcast with your host, Rabbi Yehoshua Wordy. I'm very excited and honored today to be interviewing a very special person in Lubavitch. This is Mendel Duchman, who's known the world over as somebody who's a tremendous help to the shluchim. Today he's known as a consultant to the shluchim, helped empower shluchim, and is a tremendous community activist that has his hands in tremendous amount of projects. So many of you may know him from that angle, but what you might not know is that Mendel simultaneously is running his own company called Nonie Of Beverly Hills, which we're going to discuss shortly. And before that, Mendel ran a very large company. He was the CEO of a very large company. And so we're going to start off the journey. We're going to rewind. Mendel will go all the way back as far as you'd like and jump in and tell us how you got into the world of business and take us on that journey. So welcome, Mendel.
Thank you, Rabbi Wordy. First of all, Yasher Koach to you. You have literally changed the game for young Hever in Crown Heights and the world over in the world of business, and I always admired what you're doing. And to ask me to begin my journey is a little bit hard, but I'll try to do the best that I can. I had the schus of being a shliach in California for many, many years, and when I made the transition into the business world and received a bracha, a double bracha from the Rebbe for that transition, it was very difficult, very challenging, but we forged ahead just like we did in the world of shlichus, and we got involved into commerce, and Baruch Hashem, the journey has been good.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. So get more detail though. So, you know,
well, it's very simple.
Was your
after shlichus came up, Rabbi Weiss, the very well-known philanthropist and Lubavitcher Chassid, met me and he says, Mendel, if you can do what you did in the world of shlichus, I'd like you to do in the world of business. And he took me under his wings for approximately 8 to 10 years together with his sons. And we built a nice, beautiful healthcare business in addition to everything else that they were doing. And that was my eye-opening look into the business world.
What was your role there when he took you in? What was it that you were doing?
Well, that's been a long, long time ago. Maybe we can focus a little bit about the journeys that came after that. I mean, primarily it was to dealing with people and selling products. And I always say in the business world, shlichus product is a lot better than any business. In shlichus, the product is Yiddishkeit, the Eibishter, Emunah, mitzvahs, and it really goes a long way. And it's probably the best product that anyone can sell. But second to that, when you go into the business world, you have to take a look at what you're actually trying to sell and give it all you got. So it was just a category of products to the patients in the nursing home as well into the healthcare center.
Uh-huh. So before we jump out of that into your current business, but what would you say was your biggest lesson from those years working in that company that you took away?
Oh, spending time with Rebbe. I mean, he was the best teacher that you could be under. So it was just a great transition. It was a company that gave me all the respect and all the ability to make that transition, and it was very, very encouraging. Is
there any incident that comes to your mind, something that you saw in Rebbe that taught you a lesson that sticks with you till today?
Yes, absolutely. Rebbe ran his business not because he wanted to be a businessman. He ran his business so he can be a person to tzedakah and to chesed and to gemilas chesed. That was mostly his conduit. But he would never mix the two. When he ran the business during the day, he was focused. And that's probably the number one thing that he taught me personally, is that you keep your eye on the ball and you excel to the best of your ability.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So then take us on the, you finished your time with that company and you moved on and you started your own company. So take us on the journey then, how you got to start your company. And
the journey is the Eibishter für die Welt. Hashem runs the world, and after that transition, I finally decided that I'm going to become my own business owner, so I don't have to have more bosses than one, which is the Eibishter himself. And I started on a journey to purchase a business. I felt very strongly that I'd rather start at first base and make my rounds around the field rather than going on home base and someone serves you the ball and you have to try to strike out or ball out or whatever it is. So I was looking specifically to take over a business in the business that I knew, which was the wellness, the beauty, the cosmetic, the of making people feel better and get better. And I started on a journey to purchase such a business, and it took about 8 months. I had the opportunity to be part of a journey to look into 22 companies at that particular time, and they were small to middle size. From a public relations company to a food company to a clothing company, to various things that I've learned in my lesson, both in the world of shlichus and my journey before that. And I wanted to get into something that I thought I had a handle on. And then finally I chose one of them. And it's Hashgacha Prati is the way I chose one. It was simply, as I always practice, the best things happen on the road. I was flying back from, I think it was Utah Kislev, from being by the Rebbe, and a flight attendant started a discussion with me, and before I knew it, she said that she has a cosmetic line that she's been trying to sell. She started it at 66 years old. She cannot run it. She can't, put her hands around it, and it seems that maybe I can help her. And the rest is history. A few years later, I actually bought the company.
That's great. So, before we start that journey with the company, just for the benefit, it's actually something new that has never come up in the conversations here at CHY. In other words, there's the traditional way of starting a business from scratch, but then, a lot of people, they look, they acquire businesses that are already in operation, and that's like a separate art. So is there any lessons you learned from, if you spent that time examining 23 different businesses, what would you say are key things that people should look out for if they go down that road?
Well, first of all, I have to tell you that it's not the style today to buy businesses and take over businesses. Today, the style is you take a product, you hop onto Amazon, you do virtual activities and social media, and you have a business by yourself. Between Amazon and closeouts and the ability of hard work, you don't really have to buy a business today. You can create a business and take it into the next level. But that was not the case back then, and I tried to find the truth. I went into all the various aspects of those businesses, and I wanted to make sure that the numbers are real. I wanted to make sure that they're honest people, and more important, that it's a product that gives value. In America today, and even then, you can sell anything and anything to anybody one time. You just make beautiful packaging. You have a beautiful presentation. Almost everyone will buy something for the first time. The key is to get the repeat business, to get someone to buy it a second time. So I was looking for a venue, a product, a business that can be based on reputation, and that can be based on something that works and is not luft, is not ear.
Right. Got it. So you got involved with the company, eventually buying it out. So tell us a little bit about your journey once you got involved in it. What were the challenges you faced when you came in? What type of things? What type of steps did you take to grow the company?
Well, the biggest challenge on two levels. One level was coming out of corporate glitz America, everything fancy and high-powered advertisement and fancy stuff, and the particular cosmetic line that I'm involved in is more for the eco people, for the green people, for the organic people.
Mm-hmm.
I very soon learned that all that glitz doesn't work. In fact, they don't like boxes. They don't like 4 colors. They like things that are simple and very organic and very real.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that was my biggest challenge is, with the public relations experience behind me, I thought I would, just take it all the way to the next level. With publicity and with impressing people with our presentations and with the packaging, and that actually backfired. And as soon as I realized it's what's in the bottle that sells, not what's outside the bottle, that's when I saw things turning around.
Primarily, your product is sold in California, or it's distributed across the country?
It's sold all over the world, in the United States and in across the globe, mainly in health food stores, mama papa stores, co-op stores, fresh markets, Whole Foods, Sprouts, stores like that for the green people, by the green people. It's obviously a very, very niche type of a product. And that's another thing that I believe very strongly in to be successful in business, you have to have a niche. You can't be everything to everybody. You got to figure out what your niche is, and that's how you succeed.
So let's 100. Sorry, 100% for that. So I was going to say, I want to dig into that a little from 2 sides. First of all, I mean,
I don't like the word digging, Rabbi Yehoshua. Let's use another word.
I want to, in other words, go explore.
Go ahead. I got it.
You came into the company. How you're sold in all of these national chains. How did you get into those chains? What did you do to get your product picked up by all of these stores?
If you remember, I told you about being on home base. That's what worked for me. The previous owner who started this line, by the way, it's a formula that she's had in her family for over 400 years.
Oh, wow.
She's a nice Jewish lady, and it's a Hungarian formula. And she would take no for an answer, and she would put when she was traveling on the planes, passengers and different people would say, so, what do you put on your face? And can you get us some? And can you make it for us? She used to just make it in her kitchen sink, like most of these cosmetic things start. And then she took product and she went on road shows. She put it in her trunk in picnic boxes, and she went from store to store. And so the real first openings to the door was made by the previous owner. My job was to maintain it and to keep it. Actually, the way she got into some of these main stores is before they became chain stores, they all were little individual stores. For instance, Whole Food, the very first Whole Food, I believe, was Mrs. Gucci's in the Valley here in California. So once she got into Gucci's and Gucci's became Whole Foods, she automatically was put into most of the stores. So really, she got it off the ground in the sense of getting into the chain stores. The key today is to keeping it, with all the changes and everything that's going on, the way business is changing.
Talk about that. What is changing? Tell us.
It's very simple. What's changing is, for the first 20 years, it is, and again, I don't use fancy words. I'm a simple Pashat Chassid, the Pashat Yid. I went to Olatorah. I didn't go to college. I didn't get very educated. I just know I put my right foot forward and make a presentation in an honest way. But the slang or the word that I did pick up in the last couple of months is, for my first 20 years, business was B2B, business to business. We manufacture our formula. We distribute our product, and it's from business to business. It's from my business to that business. We go to the stores directly. I think today the biggest challenge is that business is becoming B2C, business directly to the customer, and I think that is the biggest transition, and in fact, that's how I'm leading my business. I used to panic when a store said, "Okay, somebody else needs your shelf space," and I can't compete with the big boys. That I would say, "Okay," and I'd pick myself up and I'd figure out a way to target advertise. I would take where the demographics of that store is, and I would start advertising on social media and on email blasts. And sooner or later, if you have a good product and the people like what you're offering to them, they'll find you. You know, if they can't get them in the store, they'll find you. So I think that, yes, that is the biggest challenge today in most of the businesses today, that you used to walk into a store physically and buy something. Today you can walk into your computer screen virtually and buy almost everything.
So from that standpoint, then, so you've diversified outside of selling in chain stores to selling online as well. Is that something you've done?
Absolutely. We have an online store, and it's starting to even overcome the store purchases, and but you got to be on top of your game. I mean, that's where the challenges are today. So you got to know what you're doing, and I'm not the best at it, but like the Rebbe said, "K'atzas yedidim," when you need help or you have to find answers to your challenges, you find people in that business. And I've been surrounding myself totally with social media people and with virtual people and e-commerce stores. And it's a big challenge, because it used to be you needed a lawyer to retain a lawyer in your business. You don't need no lawyers today. You need an IT social media person, someone who can help you virtually. And I think that's where you need to keep your eyes on today in the world of business.
No question about it. I think we just had a big e-commerce event here in CHY in Brooklyn, and I think one of the things that came up, we had a special eTail segment, and one of the things that's becoming very clear is that there's this whole new generation of brands that are coming up that are digitally native, so to say. In other words, there's the traditional brands that existed all the years that were sold through the retail outlets, and now through social media, and there's all these new brands that are coming up that never were on the shelves of stores and never planned to be on the shelves of stores. They're creating a whole entire brand, that exists totally online and just is growing by this whole new area of eTail that's coming up. And right now is that time that if you figure it out now's the time that you could grab that market share, because it's so fresh and it's so new, and it's still the book is still being written. So it's no question about that.
And 1,000,000%. Well, I'll say two things to that, Rabbi Yehoshua, if you don't mind. One is, I know it's important to learn these things, and their business manuals, and we have to follow these new steps and the new mavinim. By the end of the day, we're believers. Hashem gives parnasa, and as long as you give it all you got and you make yourself a Keli, Hashem is the one who gives the parnasa. But by all means, you hit the nail on its head. It's a total different world today, and you got to stay on top of that. And I would say, in addition to that, you need, if you have employees from the old era, so to speak, human relation department, purchasing departments, advertising departments. There was a time that you walked into a business and you needed all these departments and people behind them and paper trails. Today, all that is gone. Everything is just streamlined. Everyone does everything by themselves. And I find that to be also a very large challenge, to have your employees who are under your belt move into that phase. And it's not that easy, but you got to do it.
So actually, since you're bringing that up, what have you done to implement that, so that if people listening to this have these types of challenges, what are some tips that you could share with them?
Just lots of stress and not giving up every meeting, showing them exactly that the old way. It's like you can drive a 2000 Chevrolet model that is one type of a model. It'll get you from here to there, but you don't have all the luxuries. The brake doesn't work by itself, and the windows don't go down by itself, and it doesn't have all the alerts and beeps and sensors and cameras. Or you can drive, a 2018 Chevrolet that does it all for you, and
Right.
by literally showing them on the screen. I got rid of my conference table and I just put up a big, gigantic computer screen, and we just drive together. I show them clearly that the old way doesn't work today. Today there is a new way of getting it done, and that is what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you like this. In all these years of being involved in business, and obviously you're a very proud chassid and a proud Jew, is there any story of Kiddush Hashem that has ever come up that you're proud of through your business?
I live for Kiddush Hashem. I believe that any businessman can do as much shlichus as any shliach, if not more, and just out of just because you're asking. But every Friday, when I come to the office, I actually tell my office staff that I'm going to answer the telephone, so I can keep my ears to the ground, and I literally answer the order line. And there doesn't go through a week that I don't make contact with someone who is Yiddish and Jewish and is asking me. It's been recorded, that famous story where one of my customers said, "Are you a member of the tribe?" And I said, "Which tribe?" I was giving her a real hard time, and sooner or later she said, "Du bist du a Yid?" And I said, "Of course, my name is Mendel." "Oh, Mendel Defendel," and we got into a whole conversation. I told her to light candles before Shabbos. I would send her free product. And then right after Shabbos, she sent me an email, good news and bad news. She said, good news, I lit the Shabbos candles. The bad news is, I took a picture of it, and here it is in the email. I shouldn't have done that. But really, so many doors open up for you in doing work. I mean, one happened last week. It was the biggest natural expo show in Anaheim. There were hundreds of thousands of people, and you take a booth, and the booths are expensive. But on Shabbos, we close the booth, and there's a little sign, and it says, "Please come and visit us tomorrow, because today is our Sabbath." And how many orders we get, because they begin by saying, "We respect that you have guidelines."
That's beautiful.
So when it comes to business and when it comes to Kiddush Hashem, I believe that it's an open door. It's an open door to reaching out to so many people, especially in the business that I'm in, which is wellness and making people feel good. So many of my presentations, I begin and I compare it to like keeping kosher. Keeping kosher, you are what you eat. The same thing is with my cosmetics. Whatever you put on your face and you put on your body is healthy, is gesund. So I'm always comparing it to all kinds of great Yiddish connections. In fact, if I have a minute, Rabbi Wordy, I'll tell you one other one. I called on a very, very large account, and after the sales manager turned to me, he says, "You know what? Our policy is that on the third Saturday of every month, you're to call this customer hotline number, and we're going to tell you whether we're going to give you the order or not." And I tried to explain to her that I can't call on Saturday. It's my Sabbath. And I have a personal policy. I know a lot of people, find a lot of, they speak to Rabbanim and they're makel on different things. I don't cut any corners. My goyim are closed. Everything is closed on Shabbos in my business. And I could have said, my sales manager will get back to you who's not Jewish. But no, I said, we're a company. We observe the Sabbath, and there's no way we can do that. And she says, "Well, I'm sorry, you can't have the order." And I remember going to the elevator feeling very, very down. And about 4 weeks later, she called me, and she says, "Mr. Mendel, not only did you get the order, but we changed the policy. We don't require anyone to do it on a Saturday." In fact, I'm still in touch with her every so often about spirituality. It is what you show to people. It's what you put your foot down with. I mean, there's a store here, Sprouts. They have 13 stores in Los Angeles. We're in all of them. And excuse me, I'm sorry, not Sprouts. Lassen's. It's a family-owned business. They happen to be from the Mormon religion, and they're closed on Sunday. I can't believe it. Every time I go there, and they just opened a brand new one right next to my factory here. And when I go in there and ask them how it's doing, they say, "Well, we're getting stronger, but people can't understand why we're closed on Sunday. Sunday's the biggest day for shopping, But they said they don't care. That's their business. That's their belief."
Right.
And I'm very encouraged by that. And I would encourage anyone else who's part of this session: don't cut corners when it comes to Shabbos, when it comes to business, when it comes to the Eibishter. Because after all, Hashem is the provider.
Absolutely, yeah. Very and very well said, if I may say. So, but from a different angle now, you touched before on going to shows. There are quite a few people here that attend shows and exhibit at shows. What are some techniques you use from a business perspective to attract people to your booth? Like, what are any strategies that you have that in terms of drawing people over to you?
Well, we've gone through a few transitions. There was a time that everybody had booths, and we would schlep and set up and work hard on getting some of the customers for many years. Then there was an era where we didn't do a booth because we figured you don't really write orders. There are certain industries that write orders at the booths, okay? Their purchasing salespeople are there. That's where they actually book the orders. In our line, that's not the case, and we dropped it for a few years. And then we started to realize that we're living in a world of perception, of visibility. So even though we have a booth today at the various shows, it's more to meet and greet the people. It's more to show them what new things you're doing. It's more to interact, because it's so hard to get to reach people. People don't answer phones today. It's all about email. It's all about phone calls. It's all about leave a message. It's all about WhatsApp. So in the last few years, I find if you really want face-to-face time with the people you do business, that's the new thing at a show today. Not so much to write the orders, even though you do write orders, and most of the orders come after that. But the fact that you can have a face-to-face meeting with your customers and with your potential customers is the reason why we have these booths. And that's in my particular industry.
Now, I know this is one of your strong suits. A lot of people in business, it's all about, they have to make presentations in order to get their product sold. What would you say are some tips you tell somebody before they go into that meeting to come off with an effective pitch?
Well, you tell me that it's my strength, but it's really not my strength, because I sell moisturizers and skincare and lotions, and aftershave lotions, and I can't really, I get up there. If I do have to make a presentation, I say, I manufacture the best stuff that I never use on my beard. So I'm actually not the good person to do the presentation, but you have to hire the right people, and the way, and I think the key issue, again, it's face-to-face time. The attention span today is so limited. When you give a presentation, you just have to have one word in your vocabulary. It's called value. What value does your product bring to your potential customer? That's it. And in my field, it's wellness, it's anti-aging, not stam as anti-aging. It helps, it works. You can sell something for 25 years straight and have a following, a cult following, that if they run out of your product, they ask you to FedEx it, and the FedEx is double what the product is worth. So we have a very educated following, And you just need to convince the value of your product in your presentation, because by the end of the day, our consumers today are pretty smart, and they'll see right through if you're telling them Bubba Mises or if you're really bringing them a value. And a value can mean in the product and the pricing and in the effectiveness and the honesty of your company.
Let me ask you like this. I mean, you have the company for so many years. Are you involved in R&D and developing new products to expand the line?
Well, we do come up with certain new products. It's not one of my strong points, not because it shouldn't be. It's because my plate is so full with different things and different activities outside the business world. But we do have an R&D department that comes up with products, as needed, and it is absolutely vitally important to come up with it. I don't believe in brand new items, every month or every few months, because mekenish tanzen auf alle chasanas. That's the bottom line. Either you're a mass producer of products or you have a system, a regimen that works. And in my particular business, it's CM, cleanse, moisturize, or tone, CMT. It's a certain way of bringing value to the people. So I may tweak some of my products. I may bring new products to the younger generation, but my main thrust of what I sell remains the same.
So a young fellow walks up to you and says, Mendel, I'm getting ready to start my own brand new business. What wisdom would you share? Can you share with me? What would you tell that person?
I would say, I want you to make 10 push-ups in the morning, and then I would say come back tonight after you put out another day, and I'd say make another 10 push-ups. Then I would tell them, let me see how you dance, how you jump, how you move. I would tell them you have to be ready to work hard. There is no chilling. Today you ask a young guy, what are you doing? I'm chilling. Today it's hard work. You basically need to compete with others. You have to work, smarter, not harder. So
right.
Even though it sounds a little bit like a conflict, I'm saying two opposites, but I'm really not. You have to ready to work hard, but smart, and you got to know that it's a very, very challenging opportunity. Today, you snooze, you lose in 1 minute. With social media, what works on a Monday doesn't work on a Friday. And I'm not talking about the people that just do posts, for personal reasons. We're talking about business. So people should open your post. People should buy your product. Everything changes. So I would tell the young guy, if you're focused and you're ready to work hard, it's easier to make $1, but it's a lot harder that you need to work.
Yes, indeed. Now, let me ask you like this before we sign off over here. Aside from your business, you are a tremendous asset to the shluchim. You're somebody who consults with shluchim and guides shluchim and supports shluchim in such a tremendous way, and myself included. Is there any lessons that you learn from helping the shluchim that you think could be turned around and are an important message to be told to our audience?
So you need a total different session to answer that. It's the best thing that happened to me, and it's also one of the most difficult things because, besides for money, you get paid with passion. And when you see the tremendous help that you're part of the mission statement of the Rebbe, helping shluchim, sometimes your business suffers, which is a little bit in my case as well. I mean, primarily, just to give you the short version of it is, once you're a shliach, you're always a shliach, and wherever I would travel with my business, I would stop in the local Chabad house, and we'd sit down and schmooze, and before I knew it, the shliach would say, so Mendel, in your days, did this work? Did that work? What should I do today? and by the time I would finish talking with the shliach in that particular city, it was already too late to the appointment that I actually flew to that town for. It's been gone. So about 13 years ago, I actually combined the two. So I try to travel to those places that need help. And, and it's been just a very, very inspiring a journey, as to use your words of the journey. But I got news for you. Shluchim, shluchim have more doors to open than all your business people that you've interviewed. I mean, in business, there's always a door that you got to open, and you got to convince them, and what are you selling, and people are thinking twice. Shliach represents the Rebbe and represents what the Eibishter gives, and they have such open doors available to them. I've met more successful business people and mentors in the world of shlichus that I ever will in business, But like the Rebbe's mission statement, we have to excel in business and we have to excel in shlichus, and it's really not two different departments. It's really one thing. So I appreciate you bringing up these other things, but it is one of the reasons why Nonie of Beverly Hills is not, on the top list of the United States, because my passion and my shlichus, I believe very strongly, is to help shluchim and the things we do here in Los Angeles. Because that's what's leaving the impact. That's what's leaving to the next generation, and that's what the Rebbe gave us a mandate. We have to make this world a better place to live in. So I sometimes go to a
just
shliach
for a second.
Yes.
I'm
getting passionate about this.
No, not at all. But you touched on something else which we didn't touch on, and Adarabba, every business person should not let themselves become totally consumed. They should make sure that they have an outlet, where they could, push their something that they're passionate about, a cause that they could assist in, and you're just such a living dugmachai of that. So just for a second, talk a little bit about what you do in Los Angeles as a community askin. Just so people
again, Rabbi Yeshua, I love you. You're yourself, are juggling business and shlichus and helping people and empowering people and making a living. I mean, listen, Los Angeles is a beautiful community. Baruch Hashem, we started the Rebbe's Diamond Daveners some 16 years ago. Also happened by accident. Nothing happens by accident. But it's like in business. What do they say today? If you see something, you say something. I have a different mission statement. If you see something, you do it. If you see there's a need, you got to take care of that need. And there was a tremendous need with unsere Kinder here. And Baruch Hashem, 16 years ago, we started a shul for the kids, by the kids, and today, Baruch Hashem, there are many cities that are following along those lines. And it's not only about Yenim's Kinder, it's not only about outreach, it's also about inreach. And I can only tell you, my business mentor keeps telling me I'm doing the wrong thing, because if I'm on the East Coast on Thursday meeting my clients and my business, and I got to be there again Monday, it doesn't matter. I still come back to Los Angeles for Shabbos, because I can't miss Kol Yaakov Yehuda, the Rebbe's Diamond Daveners. It's part of my business. It's part of my R&D. It's part of my sales. It's part of my public relations, and it's part of my profits. So I will go back and forth across the United States to be back here for the kids' minyan and different things that happen in Los Angeles. Because by the end of the day, let me tell you one thing, Rabbi Yeshua.
Yes.
You finish your business and you sit down on your couch and you say to yourself, okay, so you made X amount of dollars today, but did you really accomplish something in the world? Did you really make an impact? Did you really change your children's school? Did you help out the Rebbe's Meiser? Did you do something for someone else? Because that also pays dividends, and it probably even pays better dividends than the profit business. Listen, I told you not to bring up these topics because I get carried away with it. But
that's very well said. Let me just ask you like this as a final question here as we come to the end of this. But this is going way back. Do you recall any hayrois of the Rebbe in terms of business? When you were involved in business and back in the days with Beryl Weiss, was there any particular eitzos that the Rebbe gave that you found were illuminating that you are worth sharing?
Nothing that comes to mind, nothing that I heard or read, even though there's many stuff. The only thing, almost every single sales meeting, I begin with the story of the Rebbe, where you see in the videos presidents and rabbonim and business people come to the Rebbe and say, I just gave $1 million to the Chabad shliach, I just wrote a sefer, I'm helping this one. The Rebbe would always say, thank you, Yasher Koyach, that's great. And then the Rebbe would say, and what's next? What else are you going to do to increase on top of that? And I think that that's how I run my business, and that's how I run my life, and that's how I run the work with shluchim and with the kinder. You know, you can't sit idle. What's next? Zeitleif, time is running. And that's the only hayrah that I've taken on a personal level. You know, lahavdil elef avdolos. Well, you don't say lahavdil on Yidden, is what I've been learning lately. But if I can say it just in plain business words, you know, the Rebbe was probably the most influential CEO that ever lived and that will ever live. I mean, you know, in an 8x8 room, give a look what the Rebbe accomplished. The Rebbe empowered people. The Rebbe made leaders, not followers. You know, like that famous CNN story. You know how do you get so many followers? And the Rebbe says it's not followers, it's leaders. I make leaders. And I think that when you talk about Hayros from the Rebbe and the way the Rebbe ran and gave ideas, you know, v'hamaisa hua ikir. That's the bottom line. And never sit still. And he lived it by example, and we need to live it by example as well.
Yes, indeed. So, as a sign-off over here, if some of the people listening to this conversation are inspired by some of the ideas you shared and they want to just maybe catch a schmooze with you to, you know, dig in a little bit, and I know you don't like that term, you know, they want to sort of just discuss with you ideas and so on and so forth. Is there a way that anyone could reach out to you? Is there a best contact?
Anyone can reach out. Just put in Mendel Duchman and you'll see the whole the negative and the positive and all the beautiful things. No, I'm just kidding. Nonie Of Beverly Hills, you can reach out to Mendel Duchman with the ask your local shliach. It's an easy way of getting around. But I will put in one little comment, Rabbi Yeshua. If you want, you can cut this out by the end, but I'm going to say it anyway. The Jugend, it's all about the Jugend, and I'm actually looking for a young one of these guys that you keep talking about to come in with me here on this business, so I can do more of my klolosha work, and I can do more of what the passion pays with, and also because the young guys have more than what we have. So if there's anyone out there listening to this podcast and is looking for an opportunity to get involved, please reach out to, what's the name of your organization?
CHYE.
CHYE. Rabbi Yehoshua knows me well. We've talked to each other. He mentored me. I mentored him. We're all good. Reach out to the organization.
So my email, if you're listening, and I'm not cutting this out, anyone that's listening, if you think that this is an opportunity for you, by all means, send me an email then to Rabbi W, RABBI, the letter W, which, by the way, that is your, that's your, you named me that way. That's I go by your name, Rabbi W at CHY.info, and I'll be happy to talk with you and see if it's a fit to connect with Mendel. Shkoyach, Mendel, this was a wonderful conversation and tremendous. On behalf of all the people that you touch and your work, I can't speak for the people in California, not in California, but I can speak for the shluchim because I know that I was a beneficiary of that work. Like the shluchim are a beneficiary. We want to thank you for all your tireless effort on behalf of the Rebbe's work, and Hashem should bless you with good health, gesund, nachas, from your children and grandchildren. Parnasa v'harchava. Everybody have a wonderful week. Mechayel El Chayel. Thank you for listening to the CHYE in partnership with COL Live K-Factor podcast with your host, Rabbi Yehoshua Wordy. We look forward to bringing you more amazing entrepreneurs to share their stories. See you next week.